What's up, everyone? Matt Gajewski here, back again talking college basketball. And today we are finishing out the Elite Eight. We have the Sunday doubleheader. Before we get started, a big thank you to anyone who has supported the channel. As we try to get to 1,000 subs, we are officially 53 away. Maybe we can do that by the end of the NCAA tournament. It seems a little bit lofty, but we'll try our best. So thank you if you've done that. It does help a small channel a lot. Thank you if you've liked the video, subscribed, left a comment, even just watched for any length of time. It truly does really help a small channel. And last thing, we'll be talking about some gambling. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 or older to play in most areas. All right, let's get into it. The top of the doubleheader. Tennessee takes on Houston. This game has a 3-point spread currently in favor of Houston. The total comes in at 124. Little bit of movement in this game. Tennessee took some early money. We are not seeing any major injuries. Malik Wilson got banged up for Houston. We'll see his status. He comes off the bench and generally is playing anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes, depending on who's in foul trouble, what the score of the game is, or if anyone's struggling. So just one to monitor there with Houston. Tennessee's at full strength. Let's get into resumes. Tennessee is currently 5th in the country in total power rankings. To get here, they beat Wofford, they beat UCLA, and Kentucky. Some of those scores, honestly, I think all three, the score is closer than the actual game played out. The Vols basically dismantled Kentucky from the opening tip, and they attacked the rim. They only shot 26% from three. In the regular season, Tennessee lost to that Kentucky team twice, and part of the reason was they were just shooting too many threes and not shooting them well. Well, in this game, they didn't really shoot them well, but they did attack Kentucky's main weakness, and that's inside. Hit a lot of hard twos as well, so sometimes you get a little lucky, but I don't even think that would have mattered. They had such success scoring at the rim. Out-rebounded Kentucky 34-24, forced more turnovers, generated more fouls. It was just a very clean game from Tennessee. And that's kind of a cherry on the top of an elite resume. This team is 8-6 against the top 25, beat Illinois, Florida, Missouri, Texas A&M, Alabama, Auburn, UCLA, Kentucky. Their only loss outside the top 25 is to Vanderbilt on the road by 1 point. So just an amazing body of work for Tennessee, but the same thing can be said about Houston for the most part. This team is currently 2nd in the country in total power rankings. They beat SIU, Edwardsville, Gonzaga, and Purdue to get here. The latter two games very close, but still quality wins nonetheless. And kind of like the previous game, the Purdue contest was a little closer final score-wise compared to what we actually saw in the game. Purdue never had a lead of more than 4 points at any point in that game. Houston never fell below a 63% win probability. And this was kind of the worst-case outing for Houston. They only shot 37% inside the arc against Purdue's biggest weakness. I think if you play this game out many times over, you see this game end up with a wider margin of victory, as the initial spread would have led you to believe at -8. But they still shot the three well. 39% from beyond the arc is a solid number. They out-rebounded Purdue 38-29. That's basically the main reason they won the game, got a lot of offensive boards. And again, they withstood poor performances from LJ Cryer, who with 2 of 13, and Joseph Tugler, their best defender. He nearly fouled out in 15 minutes. So they were able to withstand with their depth, and now they're 8-3 against the top 25 this year. Beat Kansas twice, Arizona twice, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Gonzaga, and Purdue. A couple of those games were a little tricky. You did have a shorthanded Iowa State and Texas Tech, but wins nonetheless. And then you can look at the losses as well. This team only has 4 of them. 3 of them came in OT. The worst one was against San Diego State. That's the only one outside the top 10. Still a very good body of work. The only hole I'll poke in this is I think the Big 12 is weaker than the SEC. That shouldn't really be breaking news to anybody. But look who's left in this tournament. That's just one data point you can look at. As far as this individual game goes, we're expecting an extremely slow pace. Tennessee's 338th in tempo, Houston's 360th. In terms of the size on the floor, Tennessee is going to be the larger team. They're 51st in effective height. Houston's 257th. But this is nothing new for Houston. They still hold a rebounding edge, 24-28. Both teams are excellent on the offensive glass, but Tennessee lags a little bit defensive rebounding. Houston is ahead of them 115-201. And again, Houston, they're well coached, extremely aggressive and physical as well as athletic. Despite being smaller, they're going to hold the rebounding edge in most games. From there, let's get to shooting. Tennessee's 85th in effective field goal percent, 69th inside, 138th in three-point percent. A lot of that's just Chaz Lanier hitting 40.5% of his threes. No one else, at least with a decent sample, is above 32.5%. That's Zakai Ziegler coming in second. And this is just going to be a much more difficult matchup for Tennessee because Houston's number 1 in total defense, 5th inside, 24th defending the three. It's by far their toughest matchup in the tournament. I guess the second most difficult one was UCLA, but even that, your rim protection is different with Houston. You're far better. Compare Ade Mara and Bilodeau to Tugler, Javier Francis, and Juwan Roberts. It's just a different animal. I'm not sure how this Tennessee has success scoring, and they're not the best shooting team to begin with. And the biggest difference is Houston has similar shooting numbers, but it's by choice. Tennessee, it's just how they play. Houston, 88th in effective field goal percent, but we need to break this down. 269th in two-point percent, first in three-point percent. However, this team is not shooting a lot of threes at all. If you look at their three-point rate, they come in 295th. They're opting to take a lot of twos. It's cost them in some games, nearly cost them in some others, nearly cost them against Purdue, nearly cost them against Arizona earlier this year. When you look at this, LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan hit 42% of their threes individually, all of them. You have Malik Wilson, Arsenault, solid three-point shooters as well. It's Tugler and Roberts inside who are the inefficient offensive players. And it's not just them. Against Purdue, we saw Cryer and Uzan both struggle inside as well. From there, Tennessee, 3rd in total defense, 22nd inside, 3rd defending the three. We've seen them have lapses defending the three at times. Kentucky got them twice, and that's not the only team. But you can score inside against this team at times. So Milicic is going to be very important for Tennessee if they're going to defend this Houston team, if you're going to defend Tugler and Roberts inside and Francis when he comes in the game. On the periphery, Houston has a significant turnover margin. They outrank Tennessee 21 to 108 in turnovers committed, the lower number being better. And they outrank Tennessee 17 to 124 in turnovers forced. Foul margin does favor Tennessee, but this worries me less than normal Houston years. This is the deepest Houston team I think we've seen in a long time. We had to see it in their last game. They had to bring in Francis off the bench for double-digit minutes because Tugler only played 15 with foul trouble. And actually, Francis was one of their better scorers overall in that game. He was one of the most efficient players from 2, and he finished with 8 points. That's great if you're just looking at a big off the bench. Malik Wilson comes off the bench. Terrence Arsenault comes off the bench. These players have had to start at portions of the season due to injury. It's an experienced and deep Houston team. The only real concern I have with the fouls is Tennessee slightly outranks Houston in free throw percentage, but it's pretty negligible, 102 to 112. I just don't want Tennessee at the line a lot in this game. All this brings me to a Houston -3 position. Our model currently makes this -3.2. Pretty close to the over-under, so not going to touch that. But we are seeing money come in on Tennessee to begin the day. I'm recording this on Saturday late morning. Waited a little bit to see where the market went. When I awoke, it was -3.5. Now it's -3. I'm likely to play a Houston side of this game. Just want to see if we can't get a better number of maybe a 2.5 as we wait. I respect the SEC, but Tennessee, as far as the teams left, I think they're a bit limited offensively compared to some other SEC teams. So that is where we'll side. That'll be in Discord if you're interested, projecting every game side, total, player projections, rebounds, points, assists, steals, blocks, minutes, all that is available. The link is below. There's no long-term commitments. No, the tournament's almost over, but if you even want to check out what we have for a week, we have those options. Second game. Michigan State takes on Auburn. This game has a 5-point spread in favor of Auburn. 148 total, no major injuries in this game. Let's start with resumes. To get here, Michigan State beat Bryant, New Mexico, and Ole Miss. They are currently ranked 7th overall in the country in power rankings. In their most recent game, they trailed Ole Miss for a majority of that game. Michigan State had a win probability of 24% at one point. They somehow still ended up outshooting Ole Miss, and a lot of this was just they got to the line a lot more. 22 free throw attempts compared to 10 for Ole Miss. The weirdest stat in the whole game is this tiny Ole Miss team out-rebounded Michigan State 33 to 29. It's a blip on the radar, more on that in a second, but it's at least a concerning data point when you have to face Auburn coming up. It was a really close game that could have gone either way, but ultimately the halftime adjustments, which Izzo is basically the king of, got Michigan State this win. Their full body of work, they went 8-3 against the top 25, beat Illinois twice, Purdue, Michigan twice, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Ole Miss. My biggest concern with this resume is that every one of those wins is against the Big Ten except for the Ole Miss game. So it's like you don't have a lot of the good non-con stuff. They lost a lot of non-con. I know that was early in the season before Jace Richardson fully took on that lead guard role he's playing now. But you also have a couple losses. They lost to 51 Memphis, 62 USC, 46 Indiana. There's at least some holes you can poke in the Spartans' resume if you want to. The high end is still very good. Auburn, I think the biggest hole you're poking is just how they've looked of late, which is streaky. But this team's still fourth in the country, was number one for most of the year. To get here, they beat Alabama State, a team they just clearly didn't prep for. Still won by 20. Knocked off Creighton by double digits and Michigan by double digits, who ranked 21st in the country. That was a weird game against Michigan. They trailed at not by 9 at one point, but then they absolutely annihilated the Wolverines in the second half. They bested this Michigan team inside, which is key because you face the double 7-foot lineup, and Auburn was able to not only score effectively inside, but out-rebound that unit 48-33. They had 19 offensive boards. It was a sloppy game a little bit. Both teams had 15 turnovers, so it wasn't just Michigan turning the ball over. Auburn did as well. But ultimately, they get the win, which puts Auburn right back at the top, leading the country resume-wise. They're 11-5 against the top 25. Wins over Houston, Iowa State, Purdue, Missouri, Tennessee, Bama, Ole Miss 3 times, Kentucky, Michigan. Only lost outside the top 6 once. That was to Texas A&M in that game right after Auburn clinched the SEC regular season title. This game, a lot different on paper. This should be relatively up-tempo. Michigan State is 158th in pace. Auburn is 137th. Both teams play a tall lineup. Michigan State is 21st in effective height, second in rebounding, which is why it was really weird to see them get out-rebounded by Ole Miss, who's outside the top 300 in rebounding. Anyway, Auburn is 74th in effective height, 42nd in rebounding, and we just saw them out-rebound Michigan, who is the biggest team in the country when they want to be. So I don't know. I kind of dove into this a little bit. I think the effective height gap is actually closer than the numbers indicate because you basically took Xavier Booker and summoned Zapala out of the rotation for Michigan State. Zapala's 7 feet tall. So he does influence your effective height numbers. He didn't even get a minute in the last game. So I think Michigan State is playing just a little smaller, which sort of neutralizes the gap between Auburn and Michigan State in effective height and on the glass. From there, Auburn can just do so many things offensively. This team is 26th in effective field goal percent, 30th in 2-point percent, 44th in 3-point percent. They have statistically the most efficient player in the country inside in Janai Broome. You have 4 shooters in Tahad Pettiford, Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, Baker Mazzara. All of them are at least shooting 38% from 3. Denver Jones leads the group at 42.4%. And then Michigan State's defense, they're 6th in total D, 105th inside, 1st on the perimeter. That's great. They can defend the threes. And what are they going to do inside? How are you going to stop Janai Broome, the best player in the country, scoring inside in the paint? That's a huge concern for me and probably Auburn's best path to scoring. And if Michigan State dedicates extra resources to that area of the floor, you have the shooters to kick out and shoot the ball from 3. And the best part about it is with 4 of them, you don't need everyone to be on their A game. Last night, Chad Baker Mazzara had one of his worst games. Didn't matter. You still get solid play from the other guards, and Auburn can cruise, which is how they overcome some of these deficits. It's just a really hard team to continually hold down for 40 minutes. On the other side, Michigan State is 151st in effective field goal percent, 89th in 2-point percent, 318th in 3-point percent. We've talked about this a lot. They've jumped 3-point percent wise, overall shooting wise, because Jace Richardson's playing more minutes. He's a 41% 3-point shooter. That's awesome. He's one player. You don't have effective options from 3 outside of him. And Auburn is 12th in total defense, 43rd inside, 7th defending the perimeter. I'm not sure how you score on this team. Auburn has a turnover edge. They outrank Michigan State 5-137 in turnovers committed. They also outrank Michigan State 163-242 in turnovers forced. On the other hand, foul margin significantly favors Michigan State. That doesn't concern me a ton because Auburn does play a deep rotation. They They're afforded the luxury of playing aggressive. The one thing that does bother me is Michigan State is a much better free throw shooting team. They're 25th. Auburn is 139th. So if you are going to foul a lot, I'm not worried about the depth. They have the players to step on the court if they need to. I am worried about putting Michigan State on the line. I do not want this team shooting a lot of free throws. But Auburn can still generate free throws themselves. It's probably going to be a mismatch in favor of them, at least inside with Broome and Chaney Johnson against the Michigan State bigs. We make this outside the -5, currently at -5.3. I'm fine with that number. I think it might be underrated a little bit, and we play the Auburn side -5. So at the end of the day, on Sunday, likely to have a position on Houston -3 or better. I'll play the 3 if I need to. Have something on Auburn -5, and we played Bama on Saturday. So that'll do it for the Elite Eight. We'll be back for the Final Four. Until then, good luck, everybody. We will see you later.